Today is a new day, filled with opportunities and challenges. Remember, no matter where you go or what you face, God is with you. He is your guide, your protector, and your strength. In the book of Isaiah 41, verse 10, God promises, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Trust in His plan, even when you can't see the way ahead. He knows best. So, as you walk through this day, hold on to that truth. His presence is a comfort and a constant source of peace. But here's a thought to ponder. If God already knows what's ahead for you, how might that change the way you face today's challenges? What would it look like to truly let go and trust that His plan is already unfolding? Here are 7 verses from Psalm chapter 37 that emphasize trusting God and His wisdom. Verse 3, "Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture." Verse 4, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Verse 5, "Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will do this." Verse 6, "He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun." Verse 7, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes." Verse 23, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him." Verse 24, "Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with His hand." Psalm chapter 37 encourages believers to trust in God's wisdom and timing. The verses highlight the importance of committing to God's ways, finding delight in Him, and being patient as He works in our lives. It assures that when we trust in God, He will guide us, reward our righteousness, and provide stability, even when challenges arise. Ultimately, these verses remind us that God is faithful to support and uphold those who seek Him. Trusting God is a fundamental aspect of our faith, and His wisdom and understanding guide us in ways we cannot always comprehend. Here are 5 key ways to trust God, knowing He knows best. The number 1, trust in His timing. In a world where everything moves at a rapid pace, it's easy to become frustrated when things don't happen according to our own timeline. We live in an era of instant gratification where waiting for anything can feel like a test of patience. Whether it's waiting for a promotion at work, praying for a loved one's healing, or hoping for a relationship to flourish, the desire for immediate results is overwhelming. But what if the greatest peace we can find is in surrendering to the perfect timing of God? In those moments of waiting, God calls us to trust, to be still before Him, and to embrace His divine timing, even when it doesn't match our own. Psalm 37 verse 7 offers a powerful reminder in the midst of uncertainty. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. This isn't a passive waiting, but a trust-filled stillness that allows us to rest in God's sovereignty. We may not always understand why things unfold the way they do, but God sees the bigger picture, something we often miss in our limited perspective. Isaiah 55 verse 9 adds depth to this understanding, saying, "As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God's wisdom transcends our human understanding, and His plans are infinitely greater than anything we can fathom. When we trust in His timing, we admit that His perspective is far superior to our own. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 speaks to the rhythm of life itself, reminding us that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. The seasons of our lives are perfectly orchestrated by God, and each season has a purpose. We may long for the next season to arrive, but rushing ahead can lead to missed lessons and unprepared hearts. God's timing is intentional and purposeful. There are moments when we are called to wait, grow, and prepare ourselves for what is to come. Just as a farmer patiently waits for the harvest after planting seeds, God's promises require time to unfold in the right moment. When we trust in God's timing, we let go of our need for control and surrender to His perfect plan. This doesn't mean we passively sit by without doing anything, but it means we trust that when we align our actions with His will, He will open doors at the right time. God knows when we are ready for something, even when we don't. Trusting in His timing requires faith that He will provide what we need, when we need it, nothing more, nothing less. And in that trust, we find peace, knowing that His timing is always perfect. The number 2, surrender control. In our fast-paced, achievement-driven world, it can be incredibly difficult to let go of control. We are taught from a young age to be self-sufficient, to plan meticulously, and to ensure every detail is in our hands. But what happens when we try to manage every single aspect of our lives? The weight of responsibility becomes overwhelming, and the constant anxiety of ensuring everything goes according to our plans often leaves us feeling drained and disillusioned. The truth is, control isn't something we were meant to carry on our own, and by holding on to it too tightly, we may be preventing God from stepping in and showing us the peace and guidance He is waiting for us. Psalm 37 verse 5 tells us to commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. It's a powerful reminder that when we release our need to control everything, we open ourselves up to divine intervention. God promises to take over when we trust Him, guiding us through every challenge and blessing along the way. Similarly, Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 reinforces this message by urging us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. We often think we have all the answers, but God's wisdom is far greater than our own. By submitting to His will, we allow our lives to be shaped in ways that go beyond our imagination. Jesus, in Matthew 6 verse 34, offers a comforting reminder not to worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. The pressure of anticipating future problems can paralyze us, leading us to miss the opportunities and blessings of today. Worry robs us of joy, and when we cling to control, we end up burdened by concerns that God has already promised to handle. Surrendering control doesn't mean abandoning responsibility. Rather, it's about recognizing that we don't have to do it all on our own. Trusting God means letting go of the false illusion that we have everything under control and instead allowing Him to shape our paths in ways we couldn't have planned ourselves. When we surrender our plans to God, we step into a life of greater freedom and trust. The peace that comes from allowing God to take the reins is immeasurable. We don't have to predict the future or manage every detail because we know that He is in control. His plans for us are always better than what we could have imagined on our own. Surrendering control allows us to rest in His sovereignty, knowing that He will lead us exactly where we need to go. In doing so, we find a deep, unshakable trust that carries us through the challenges of life, providing clarity, peace, and assurance that He is always with us. The number 3, delight in His will. In Psalm 37 verse 4, we are reminded that when we take delight in the Lord, He will grant the desires of our hearts. This isn't a promise that He will simply give us anything we ask for, but rather a call to align our desires with His will. The key here is that our hearts are transformed when we delight in God, making our desires more aligned with His perfect plan. It's not about asking for material gain or fleeting pleasures, but about finding joy in pursuing His purposes for our lives. As we learn to delight in Him, we naturally seek out His will, and in turn, He gives us the desires that fulfill His will for us. This deep, intimate connection with God not only brings us peace, but also assures us that our needs will be met according to His divine timing and wisdom. Romans 12 verse 2 further underscores the importance of transformation in our relationship with God. It calls us to break free from the pattern of the world and renew our minds. This renewal is essential because the world often pushes us towards selfish desires and temporary rewards, but God's will leads us to eternal fulfillment and purpose. When we transform our thinking and align ourselves with His truth, we become capable of discerning His will, which is always good, pleasing, and perfect. It's an invitation to a life of intentional obedience, where our actions reflect the heart of God and His perfect plans unfold in our lives. The process of renewal requires intentional focus and effort, but the rewards are immeasurable, leading us to a life that is rich in purpose and peace. In Matthew 6 verse 10, Jesus teaches us to pray for God's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is not just a theological statement, but a profound invitation to actively participate in God's kingdom work on earth. When we align ourselves with God's will, We are partners in bringing about his kingdom here and now. God's will is not only about our individual lives, but is also a call to engage with the world around us in a way that reflects his love, justice, and truth. By surrendering to his will, we become agents of change, bringing light and hope to a broken world. This is the ultimate purpose, to live in a way that brings heaven to earth and reflects God's glory in every sphere of life. Ultimately, finding joy in God's will changes the way we view life's challenges. When we trust that his will is good, pleasing, and perfect, even the most difficult situations become opportunities for growth and deeper reliance on him. Our desires, once shaped by the fleeting promises of the world, are transformed into eternal purposes that bring joy, peace, and fulfillment. As we delight in God's will, we move away from a mindset of self-centeredness and begin to embrace a life that reflects his love and purpose. The beauty of this journey is that the more we submit to his will, the more our hearts are filled with the joy and peace that only he can provide. The number 4. Rest in his protection. In times of uncertainty and struggle, it can be easy to feel overwhelmed and unsure of where to turn. Yet, Psalm 37 verse 23 reminds us that the Lord is always with us, making firm the steps of those who delight in him. This promise speaks directly to our need for stability and guidance. Life often presents us with obstacles and challenges that feel insurmountable, but God's faithfulness ensures that he will guide us through even the darkest times. His unwavering support is a firm foundation we can trust, even when the world around us seems shaky. No matter what we face, God's presence gives us the strength to keep moving forward, knowing he is beside us every step of the way. Psalm 91 verse 4 paints a beautiful picture of God's protective nature, likening his care for us to a mother bird sheltering her young under her wings. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. This imagery offers a powerful reminder that God is not distant or indifferent to our needs. Instead, he surrounds us with his loving protection, offering a refuge where we can find peace and safety. In times of trouble, this promise invites us to take shelter in God's embrace, trusting that his protection will keep us safe from harm, both seen and unseen. When the storms of life rage around us, we are called to rest in the safety he provides, knowing that no matter the dangers, his faithfulness will shield us. Even when the road ahead seems unclear, we are reminded in 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 3 that the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. This verse assures us that God is not only our protector, but also our source of strength. When faced with temptation, fear, or discouragement, God's faithfulness will empower us to stand firm. He knows our weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and he is more than capable of keeping us safe from the attacks of the enemy. In moments of spiritual battle or emotional turmoil, we can rely on his protection and strength to sustain us, knowing he will never abandon us to face these challenges alone. Trusting God means acknowledging that, even in our moments of doubt and fear, he is with us, working behind the scenes to guide and protect us. Life may not always unfold the way we expect, and we may stumble along the way, but God's protection is constant. His love for us is unshakable, and we can find peace in the knowledge that he is always watching over us. We are called to rest in his care and trust that, no matter what happens, he will guide our steps, shield us from harm, and provide the strength we need to face each day. In his protection, we can truly find rest. The number 5. Trust he sees the bigger picture. Life often presents us with moments where the future seems unclear and the path ahead appears uncertain. In those times, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the struggles of the present. We might question why things are happening the way they are and wonder if there is any purpose behind the challenges we face. But as believers, we are called to trust in a higher perspective, one that sees beyond the temporary obstacles we encounter. Even when we can't see beyond the present moment, we trust that God is orchestrating everything for our good and his glory. He works in ways that transcend our understanding, and his purpose for our lives is greater than we can ever fully grasp. Psalm 37 verse 24 reassures us of God's faithfulness, saying, "Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." This verse reminds us that even when we experience setbacks, God's steady and unshakable support is there to guide us through. His hand never wavers, even when we falter. No matter how difficult the road may seem, we are not alone. The challenges we face are not an indication of abandonment, but a reminder that God is actively involved in our lives, ensuring we stay on course according to His plan. Romans 8 verse 28 further strengthens our trust in God's greater purpose, promising, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." This verse is not a vague statement of optimism, but a firm declaration of God's intention to bring about good from all circumstances. Even when life's events appear confusing or painful, we can rest assured that God is using them to shape us, refine us, and draw us closer to His purpose. Our understanding of what's good might be limited, but we can trust that God's definition of good is always aligned with His perfect plan for our lives. Isaiah 46 verse 10 adds another layer to our confidence in God's sovereignty. "I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please." God's vision spans beyond our temporal existence. Where we see a single thread, He sees the entire tapestry. While we are confined to living moment by moment, God operates from a vantage point that encompasses eternity. His purpose is unshakable, and He will bring it to fruition. Though we may not always understand His methods, we can trust that His intentions are always good, and His plan will never fail. When we place our trust in the One who sees the bigger picture, we can face each day with peace, knowing that our lives are securely held within His perfect design. In conclusion, trusting in God is a deeply transformative journey that invites us to release control, embrace His perfect timing, and align our hearts with His will. Through the wisdom found in Psalm 37 and other scriptures, we are reminded that God is our protector, provider, and guide. He holds the bigger picture of our lives, even when we cannot see beyond the immediate challenges we face. By trusting in His plans, we can find peace, knowing that He will sustain us through every difficulty. Surrendering to His sovereignty allows us to experience a deeper, more fulfilling relationship with Him, where we rest in His protection and purpose. Trusting God isn't always easy, but it is always worth it, as His wisdom and understanding far surpass our own. When we trust in Him, we step into a life of peace, purpose, and unwavering faith.